Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to One World, One Blood Bowl, episode 14.
Hello? Hello?
How did you get this number?
It doesn't matter. Are you the guy that helps people?
What's the problem?
I've bet Hellboy a whole pack of biscuits I can take a team of unknowns to the UKTC and finish top half.
Top half?
And if I can get them above his team, the English Welsh guys, he's promised me some McVitie's chocolate digestives.
That doesn't seem possible. Unknowns, you say?
They've got to have never played tabletop before. Help me, PC. You're my only hope. I really like McVitie's chocolate digestives.
Leave it with me. In 2022, a cracked Blood Bowl unit was trapped playing Blood Bowl 2 on a server they couldn't rely on. These men probably formed a tabletop team and got drunk whilst playing the UKTC. Today, unwanted by the Twitch community, they survive on Twitch Prime subs. If you have a tournament, if no one else will come, and if Dimmy hasn't fallen out of his chair, maybe you can hire the Twitch Stream Dream Team. Welcome to One World, One Blood Bowl, episode 14. Gentlemen, thank you so much for attending this evening. It was a hell of an interesting time going to York with the three of you. I don't know what to say. I think we had a good time. I don't know if everyone in chat knows how that went down. But thank you very much to you for coming with me and to Hellboy for the McVitie's biscuits. Now, I thought what we would do this evening is tell our story. I feel we've every right. So we came together, we formed a team, exactly as that introduction shows. Sorry, biscuit, terrible idea.
So dry.
It was so dry. But it's quality. He's right, McVitie's, that's the way to go. So that's not quite how it happened. The two of you, Dimmy and Hancock, you had already been agreed to go with El Dudorino up to York. And then the other guy dropped out, Jenks. And so I was asked to come in as the fourth, and I said yes. And then El Dudorino sadly had a hospital appointment. We briefly brought my friend Throwback Mark on board, but then a place opened up for the entire of the Fumble team. And I decided that without El Dudorino to help and guide you, an older, wiser head might come in handy. So I stayed on. Mark swapped over to the Fumble team, and we put that together. And at the same time, we invited Necro on to fill out and up the quality of our ranks. And we headed off to York. Guys, come on in. I mean, first of all, let's say hello. Some of these people you know, they've been on before, some we do not. So I have labelled them on the screen for you. But hello, Timmy, a regular on the show and a long-time friend of all, I'm sure. Is that anything else to say about how you got to go to York?
Yeah, I think, well, like, we were originally... I was on Andy Davo's Twitch channel Duderino was there and James Jenks was there, and they were talking about who's going to go, and they were saying like we need to invite someone else. I just typed cough cough in his chat, and then he went, "Oh really? Like you want to go to a tabletop event?" And I was like, "Yeah." And that was it. He messaged me, and then like it all sort of happened, and then I think he approached Hancock after that. I'm not sure.
Bit snowball from there. Hancock, let's bring you in. Hello, Hancock. Regular BB2
Hello.
streamer, challenge qualifier, and wearer of a very fine beard in the Robin Hood style. So how did you get roped in to go to York?
Yeah, pretty much. El Dude just give me a shout. He said making the team with Dimmy, James Jenks, and you both new Dude as well, obviously. I just go on in. I'm quite game for it, and that's just how it happened. Yeah.
So I mean, I've played a few. I mean, not that many. I must have played perhaps 10, 12 tournaments in London and 4 outside it before lockdown. But you know, I'm really interested in getting some more tabletop experience, so I was quite keen to go. So I said I'd come along, and I had captained a team before because pulling one together when you're not in a league can be quite tough, and I'm sure we'll talk about that at some point. So then I was suddenly looking for extra people, and I get on very well with Necronome, or at least I flatter myself that we had done, having never met the actual human, only talked to him online and seen his streaming persona. But he's been a guest on my channel doing a lot of comms when I've had a Chalice game or Blitz Pits and things. So I thought we would get on, so I asked if he wanted to go, and to my amazing surprise, he said yes. So hello, Necro, welcome to One World, One Blood Bowl.
Hello, thanks for having me. Yeah.
So what made you say yes?
I don't know. I was already arguing about it because obviously I've not played tabletop before, and my girlfriend gave me a kick up the arse and said, "Go do it."
Well,
And that was that. She wanted me out of the house for a few days, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said I think tabletops could be sponsored by the NHS because quite a lot of us do need that break. We need to get out of the house and just.
Hey,
stretch the
she
legs.
came in my chat. She came in my chat and said, "Make sure he goes." She was like, just get him to go. And I was like, all
Yeah.
right.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Well, my partner's always been, yes, surprisingly supportive of me disappearing for a little while.
Oh, there you go. What the soul, peace, and quiet. That's
Yeah, as long as it fits with the world, I suppose.
Mhm.
So we went to York by hook or by crook. Dimmy actually came up to me. I got a lift with the ineffable Hef, lovely gentleman that lives around the corner from me. Got us a lift up. Hancock, you drove over
Yeah, in Big Red.
the van, which will feature no doubt in the tale of our weekend. Which you kitted out specifically for this, or just because you want to be
No,
a man
it's-
with a van that you can sleep in?
I like a man with a van that I can sleep in. Like to be one, especially. But it's for track days. I do motorcycle track days, so there's a garage compartment in the back where I put the bike and stuff, and just makes it easier to do track days. Really.
Makes a lot of sense. Good decision to sort your own accommodation.
Yes, yeah, I would say so. Even with the drama, as it were, I just think it's easier, to be honest.
And me and Dimmy were in an Airbnb that El Dude had sorted. And Necro, you got an Airbnb as well or something?
I did, yeah. Single room Airbnb.
So we turned
Too far
up.
away.
Now, Scouts Honor time. Had none of you played tabletop before at any edition? Never rolled a dice in anger?
No, I'd planned to a week before. I was going to roll some dice with Six Eggs, just to get like the newness of it out of the way, sort of thing. But unfortunately, you got COVID, so I couldn't do that. So literally, York was the first time for me ever rolling dice on a board.
Someone's just fact corrected me. I've been fact checked
Yeah.
on the NAF site. Someone's put some steam into the thing that runs it and cranked the engine. And now the ticker tape has come and someone's read that and translated it. And apparently I've been to 18 live NAF tournaments. But plenty of online ones through Fumble and things. So I mean, I'm not saying I'm new to the format. That would be a lie. Great. So we went to the tournament. No one had rolled dice before. We did a tiny bit of practice in the flat the night before, didn't we? We got like a turn done.
Yeah,
roll
sort of the
Basically,
opening
kick off events and
sequences.
weather, and that was about
Yeah.
it. The
Yeah.
whole process of starting the game up. That was about it.
But I mean, to put total cards on the table, before a couple of weeks beforehand, I say a couple of weeks, I mean, from the minute I was roped in and El Dude had already started it, we had a forum thread going where I did, over the course of a couple of months, dump quite a lot of crap on you guys in terms of sort of what I thought you needed to have, which is pretty simple, isn't it? I mean, it's a team with 3 colours based, whether you're borrowing it or it's yours. A way of marking the skills on them so that you can tell and the opponents can tell, your roster and the dice that you need. but then also some advice as to stuff you might want on top of that that might make life easier, and also just how life might be. Was any of that useful?
Yeah,
Yeah, massively. I
all
think
of it, all of
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. Just like a little checklist of things to take before the tournaments, and like a lot of it you wouldn't think about until you got there and it's too late. Like, I don't know, it's finding information out about it.
Like
It's not-
re-roll counters, ball token.
Yeah, stuff you wouldn't think of.
A
Yeah.
notepad and paper. What's the other one? The turn counter. Like all this stuff. Like, I would have just took a team and dice. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, same.
I wouldn't have thought of anything else. But you need the re-rolls. You need the turn. You need a pen and paper just to
Dice
write
cup,
down
yeah,
that it's
yeah, dice
raining.
cup.
Yeah, dice cup. I never had a dice cup before.
Me neither.
Like PC's going. It's the first time we rolled dice. None of us rolled any dice. We tipped them out a cup. We tipped them out a cup.
Yeah, I mean, we had various options there. I mean, I used a dice cup and a dice tray. Hancock, you used the same. You borrowed from me a cup and tray. Was that? Do you think that was a good thing? Did that work for you?
Yeah, I never ended up using the tray in the end. I
Right.
literally just used the cup, to be honest. But I found the tray useful for organisation.
Yeah, carrying stuff around and
Yeah,
keeping stuff.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. You need a little handbag, really, don't you? That's- I refuse to wear a fanny pack. I'm just not doing it. That's just not who I am. Dimmy, how are you? Were you were rolling with a cup on a mat or a?
No, I had my like pad, like a notepad, like you write paper on. I had it on the side. Hancock was moaning at me because
Fucking hell, mate.
I was slamming it on the on the notepad.
Turn
Oh, you're
six.
bouncing
Like,
the,
what was it?
The models, yeah. that
Yeah,
was
it's game 6 it was, last game of the day, and he's next to me. And he's shaking his cup, like, bam! And every time he slams his dice cup down, my models move a square to the right. All my models on the table just go one square to the right. It's like, for fuck's sake, Timmy, what are you doing, mate? It turned Italian at game 6.
I did.
Okay, oddly interesting and racist, but actually not entirely undue point there. But yeah, I mean, I think most tabletop people know exactly what you mean. That effusive way of doing things that can come over as a bit aggressive. Necro, what about you? Anything that you really wish you did or didn't do or sort of picked up from that thread other than you've said all right? I mean, how are you rolling your dice?
I was just kept rolling, slamming down on the on the pitch in the cup. But the thing I forgot was I only bought one roster sheet and I lost that game 1. So that was really good.
Right.
So I'll bring more of those.
Timmy caused a bit of a stir everywhere we went with his laminated sheets, didn't you? Dimmy?
Recommend it, boys.
Very
The
nice.
fear on my opponent's faces when I pulled out a laminated team sheet. Like I won the psychological battle like immediately in most of my games.
This man
saw
laminates his
this
team
guy.
sheets with.
This guy means
Reflecting the
business.
light into their eyes. Right?
This guy means business, and I definitely recommend a laminator to all new tabletop Blood Bowl coaches. 'Cause, it's definitely a thing.
Okay, so all prepped and ready. Not that hungover. We didn't go that crazy Friday night. We had quite a few, but we weren't that crazy. I got you there a little bit early. Dimmy particularly was grumpy that we didn't manage to get a full fry up in. But I was very determined that I wanted to get you guys there at least 45 minutes ahead of the tournament to sign in to get the free tat. I have to admit, I wasn't that crazy about the free tat this year. I mean, there's a marker, and a marker's sort of always all right, isn't it? And then there's the I can't actually lay hands on it right now, but the little dice bag, and I thought it was okay. I would have preferred the branding on the leather, not on the little tag, but it was all right. I mean, you get some free tat. That's not really the point of going, is it? But it's
That
something.
marker
It's a
came super
souvenir.
useful for me. It came super useful for me.
It is a
Definitely
good
for a
marker.
big guy, 100%.
Oh, excellent! So you
I
broke
didn't
it out
even
and
know-
were using it.
I didn't even know it was given to me. I thought I'd accidentally robbed it off someone. I was like, what is this? Why have we got this leather pouch? I was like, well, don't say anything, just hide it.
No, but I mean, you lose tokens. I lost my bribe token. Went this tournament. I had a bribe token, which I didn't have a bribe, but I brought it with me in my bag. I got one on a kickoff event, and then at the end of that game, and from thereafter, my bribe token was no more. Speaking of which, if I can just pull up one quick window. I want to be a decent human. We're all frozen for a second while I pull this up. Bear with me. No, why aren't you showing that? I have a dice that was given to me. They thought it was, there it is. They thought it was a friend of mine's from Team Fumble. It's not. I have that with me. I will be taking that dice to the NAFC, the NAFC. If you are the owner of that dice or you know the owner of the dice, cost me. That dice can be yours.
The corners look suspiciously shaved, don't they?
Yeah, everyone thought it was Josh's. Mr. Joshua from Team Fumble. Apparently it wasn't,
That
but it was someone who played
symbol
near
looks
him.
familiar. 1 second. I'm gonna find a dice bag. 1 second.
If you want to go dice detective, feel free. I want to talk
I
about.
will. I'll do it.
Okay,
afterwards, sure,
okay,
sure.
yeah.
It's only that much.
If we can reunite
think
that
I know
dice
who's
with
it.
its owner, then I think that's where it
I
belongs.
know. I think I know whose it is.
Someone's going to be terribly sad to have lost it, and if we can help them out, let's do that. But if you've got my bribe token, give it back. That's my bribe token. I'll find you. I will hunt you down, and I will find you. Right, so game one, I got you there 45 minutes early. Was that a good idea?
Yes, massively, yeah.
What was the question?
Did you acclimatise? Was it a bit overawing when you walked in? What was it like walking into your first ever tabletop tournament?
Oh, it was so weird.
That's such
I
a
was
big
just,
one.
I was saying to Cock, I was just like, this is so weird. This is so weird. This is so weird. And then it all disappears like really quickly, like really quickly.
So what was weirding you out? I mean, there was a lot of middle-aged men in badly fitting black jeans and football tops with their names on their shoulders walking into a conference centre.
I haven't left the house for 2 years. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah, fair.
And then suddenly I walk into like the land of tabletop, and it's not the normal land, like, you know what I mean? It's a niche land or whatever. So,
You felt you were through the wardrobe, did you? That was.
Well, yeah, like I was a little bit hungover as well. Like, although we didn't go heavy on the Friday,
Yeah, we didn't go light either.
It was like the crack of dawn as well. Like it's like 9 o'clock in the morning. Like,
9 a.m. Blood Bowl.
It was
until
literally
6
it was
p.m.
like,
apologies to all postmen and other people with actually early shifts in their lives. Yeah, crack of dawn, Dimmy. Yep.
Yeah, like middle of the afternoon. Yeah. But yeah, no, it was just a bit of a shock. It was a bit of a shock. I was nervous. I get a bit anxious anyway and stuff. So like, and then this is one thing that I wanted to say was the fact that you were there, like you were like our mentor. Do you know what I mean? Like that really like calmed the nerves. And having like 2 other people that were completely new, like so if anyone is gonna go to a tabletop event, I know it's like really horrendous, but I would say go to a team event and go with someone who's been before, like, and probably bring someone who's been new as well. Like we had the perfect storm, didn't we? We literally had the perfect storm. We had
in many
like,
ways
experience.
We did.
Yeah. And like we're not like, although we are new to tabletop, like we're not new to Blood Bowl. Like we've all played Blood Bowl and stuff. So
yeah, I mean, I was consistently concerned I was over dadding. That I was doing
no,
too much.
not at all, mate.
Just,
not at all.
telling you too much and all that sort of stuff. But it's.
I wanted hugs, mate. I wanted genuine hugs. I was like, "Is PC coming? Oh, come back." But yeah, no, it was good. It was like like we literally had like the perfect storm, I think.
Yeah, like I said, I think in terms of how we came together, the preparation and all of that, I thought it was all spot on. But it's so hard to know. And like you said, it's not like you guys are new to Blood Bowl. So I knew the Blood Bowl aspect of it. If you could get to that, was probably going to be fine. It's getting you to the point where you're bringing your Blood Bowl onto a tabletop board. And I know that's not easy. I mean, I've tried it myself. And suddenly you think, hang on, I'm good at this. How's this all gone so horribly wrong? Why do I not know what I'm doing? And it turns out you're not good at it at all. Or that you're adjusting or whatever. It's just not that simple. And I think there is some differences. So we sat down ready for game one. We got quite a lucky draw. We played some lovely people called the Shiretown Stuffers. I thought it was a fairly decent draw for us. Certainly it wasn't any of the really favoured teams. No offence to the Shiretown Stuffers, who were lovely. But it wasn't like an international quality team, and we all know there were some there like that. But also I'd say it wasn't people that were completely new. They were a decent thing. We had the time to look them up on NAV because it was posted up Friday night. And most of them had sort of 50 to 60% win rates on NAV. So these were no mugs. By the time we sat down, was there anything that should have been or could have been different? How were you feeling and were you ready, guys?
No.
Okay.
I don't think I was ready either, to be honest.
Brilliant.
No, I wasn't.
Necro, that was the first and the most definite. So what weren't you ready for?
Well, the entire experience is like, okay, like I was about to go in and learn a whole new game. Like I think Dimmy was saying, it was chalk and cheese. So like it's a lot easier. Everything's done for you on Blood Bowl 2. That's all we're used to. We've got to do all the dice rolls, work out all the guard, do all that stuff ourselves. So I was going in worrying about that anyway. My first opponent turned out to be Pawn, And
Yeah, wow.
I never played against Khorne before, and yeah, I was just like, I'm in trouble. What did these do? Frenzy, cool, and Claw, and Mighty Blow, and my lizard are dying. Okay, this is not the experience I signed up for.
Okay.
Game one.
It was a gentleman called Cornish, wasn't it? So Cornish playing Corn.
Yeah.
How did it go? Did you get over it quick? Did you find you adjusted, or was it just all a nightmare blur? Can you remember anything of it?
I remember just worrying lots about the frenzy and trying to survive best I could because all my blood destroys the cement teams. Funnily enough, the big guy is a massive problem, and I almost won that game. I only got a draw due to a 1 in 9 failed dodge, and that was it. So it was a comfortable game, but I was still getting absolutely smashed.
Right, and feeling a bit rabbit in the headlights. It's all a bit.
Yeah, that was
What
that
have I
game.
done?
I was just rolling dice. Like I know how to make a cage. I know how to move up, protect the ball, and I can survive.
Interestingly, for the World Cup, it is possible. For example, I think they're looking at teams of 6, but you can take 7 people on the team. So you can have a non-playing captain who can then rotate. So they can play like day 2 while someone else takes the day off, and then someone else can play day 3. So you can play 2 days out of 3. Do you think it would have been? I mean, if I could have sort of just been patting you on the shoulder, going, "It'll be all right, calm down." Is that? Because
Well, honestly,
I was damn busy. I had a nightmare going on myself. So
If he had a laminated team sheet,
yeah, okay.
he would have done all right.
So maybe it's the lamination that's about the preparation, is it? Yeah, if you want to prepare, laminate.
I mean, I guess it's mindset in a way. Like I'm sure we'll say about as well.
Yeah, first game was
that first game
terrifying,
against a team that I didn't know.
Hancock, how'd it go for you? You were up against Whitey. What was he coaching? How did that go?
He was coaching just Orcs. Yeah, it went all right. I would say probably 80% of the time I win that match, but unfortunately, got the loss. Missing stuff positionally is Kemri especially. It's a little bit of a nightmare. But yeah, I went through the first half doing all the appropriate dice rolls, like learning them really, and then during the second half the time I forgot to roll armor, and I wasn't breaking any armor in the first half, so I must have just gone, well, it's not really any point. I'm just going to skip. Yeah, why bother? I'm going to skip the armor rolls and we'll plow on with the game.
Okay. That's new information to me at this moment, which is interesting because that might have cropped up if you'd mentioned it at the time. But you got through the game. You weren't particularly happy at the end of game 1. It has to be said, was it?
No, not at all. Because only through expectation of myself. Like I know, I would say 80%. Like I said, 80s, 85, 90% of the time I win that game. And I didn't, so I felt like not only have you got the pressure of sort of performing for your own sort of standards, it's a team game, isn't it? Yeah. So me losing affects you guys, which was I struggled with a little bit.
Because in a very real sense, you let us all down.
Exactly, yeah. Yes, exactly so. Cheers, PC. Thank you.
I mean, what's interesting is that we all did that throughout the weekend. And there's other moments in the weekend where we all end up, coming up with the clutch play at the right moment. So I mean, it's fine. I feel I can take the piss, knowing there's a redemption arc here. Bear with me. I will be nice to him eventually, maybe. Dimmy, how was game 1 for you?
It honestly couldn't have gone better. Like
everybody's dead, Dave.
Yeah, and yeah. I basically could have turned around to you and said that after turn 1 because I removed like everyone. Like I don't even really remember what happened, to be honest. Like, but all I remember is at one point him just saying, "Has anyone got room in their KO box? Because mine is full." And I was just like, he won the toss and put me on offense, and then I just banged on him and banged on him and banged on him, and then I did do a pretty nice sneaky chain push. To like sack him and then like win, but like I was very aware of how difficult it is to put people in the right squares. Like it's incredibly different on tabletop to online, like incredibly different. And I think like give him another tournament, I would have played that game even better and even stronger. Like but like I was very lucky in the way it went. Like if Dave sees this, he'll know he'll feel aggrieved about the game particularly, and I understand that, and I appreciate that as someone who has played a lot of Blood Bowl. And I did also turn around to him straight at the start of the game and go, yeah, this is my first ever Blood Bowl tournament as well. So
I think
like
we all
he's
do
like,
that at the
oh,
start of every game.
I'll help
It's like-
you, and then by turn 4 he didn't want to help me anymore.
No.
So Dimmy coming out with the toxic tabletop, getting their head chat from game one, moment one.
Yeah, never played before, mate. Like,
Shocking.
yeah.
I was, for anyone that cares, I was up against someone called El Spunio, who was lovely. He brought some dwarves, so it was a dwarven mirror. He had a death roll, which I had intended to have. I bought one on eBay, but it hasn't arrived in time. It still isn't here. I might need to get my money back. And there was a big stroke of fortune in the first time the foul was called. He forgot he had a bribe and sent his death roller off. And I also forgot to mention that I knew he had a bribe. So I have to say, I had already removed a Slayer. His drive was already stalled. So I don't feel it materially changed the game, except he made a mistake. So I carry that burden on my soul, and I'm fine with it. But so that ended up in a nice win for me. The second half, I was fairly dominant because I didn't have very much once the death roller was gone. So despite Hancock obviously dragging us down, we did manage.
Failing miserably, yeah.
Well, I mean, having a tough first game, tough dice and that tough adjust, and it was obvious that you felt some of it wasn't the dice, that it was how you hadn't perhaps lived up to what you wanted. But I think we all felt that you could do that. So we went into game 2 with a win under our belts, which. Great start. Were you surprised? How did it feel to be winners? First ever tabletop games. And did you feel part of it, Hancock?
Yeah, no, not at all. Not part of the.
He was
first win.
miserable.
He was.
Yeah,
He was
I was.
sad. He was sad.
And it comes from a place of letting other people down. It's not about. I think it's not about losing. It is what it is. You lose a game of Blood Bowl. It happens. But when you're part of a team, and you've lost, it's like, oh, I've not put points on the board for the lads here. I've fucked up. I've not done my part. So that's why I was so annoyed about that first loss.
Yeah. I mean, I think. We all will have felt that at different times in the weekend. It does bring that greater desire, doesn't it? And it's because you're not doing it for yourself. It's odd. Perhaps the selfish gene isn't as dominant as that desire to be part of the team and part of the unit. And I do feel we bonded, my 3 sons.
Mate, definitely.
My brothers from other mothers.
It's so good to see you, like all 4 of you.
Much younger brothers.
4 of you?
obviously.
3 of you?
Yeah, you said
3
it
of us.
was very weird,
3
like
of us.
seeing everyone in person.
Yeah, it's so
yeah,
good
it
to see
is.
you again.
And
So good to see
there's
you
perhaps
again.
one thing we should get out of the way, because you were both very kind not to mention it, Necro and Hancock, who are exactly the same in person. If anything, slightly slimmer. Me and Dimmy.
Are much larger.
We are comfortable gentlemen, and we're comfortable in ourselves. But both of these gentlemen were kind enough not to mention it and to let us just have that bit extra room that we needed.
I'll be honest,
that was sweet.
Both me and Dimmy said the same thing. Is that
Everyone's fatter.
Everyone's fatter in real life.
Yeah, aren't they?
Everyone's fatter.
Yeah. I mean, the odd joke is
Except Necronome's.
yeah, isn't he? He's weirdly thin.
Yeah.
The odd joke is that the camera puts on £10, well, not the Twitch camera.
Yeah, the Twitch camera it,
Takes it off,
evaporates
mate.
about 100.
Yeah, it makes you thinner, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Unless we all ate a lot of cameras, including Flicky, big fella Flicky,
He is.
and lovely.
Tall.
He had a
Tall.
nice time.
Tall.
Yeah, tall.
Yeah,
That's what I mean.
that's what
Tall.
we meant.
Tall. I'm not fat shaming. I'm not. I'm definitely not. But Necro, did you feel part of the win? I mean, me and Dimmy were the 2 winners. You drew, but that obviously got us the win as a
The
team.
win, I kind of did. The win was achievable. It just I rolled a 1 in 9. Like it was just there, and I just couldn't. It was the last dice, couldn't get it. So
Dimmy,
it's just down to dice.
Dimmy, you were how would I put it? A beacon of confidence after game 1.
Oh mate, it went so well. It went ridiculously well. But like, it's like you just get muddled up in the. Like I always thought we were gonna do really well. Like you were like top half. I was like top half. Like we're gonna smash it. Like, and then obviously I know. And then like obviously I've realised now that was ridiculous. But I'm not the most intelligent bloke, am I? I'm just I am just stupidly unaware.
I
So
think you're more intelligent than some people
I,
think you are. I'd
no,
go
I
that
don't think
far.
so. I don't think so. But like, yeah, I thought we were gonna. Well, I didn't think we were gonna smash it. I thought we were gonna do pretty well. And then after game one, like it settled my nerves. Like the perfect thing about that game was it was the
Yeah.
perfect game for me
Because you were actually dead
like,
nervy, I could tell, man.
I was more nervous than all of you. Like I was the most nervous, in my opinion. I think I was the most nervous person there. But then like the game just went so well. Like my nerves were gone by turn 3, and then I kind of chilled out. But then I got caught out next game, and you'll hear about that in a bit.
Well, yeah,
so.
let's go there. 2 guys, 1 dice cup. Faced us. I played Ross Anderson. Dimmy, you played From Her Ashes. Necro the Joker, and Hancock played Shriek. How did that one go?
Mm.
I mean, mine was easy. I played Amazons, so
Yeah.
Dwarfs versus Amazons. That's an even matchup.
2-0.
Right?
I did a little
That's
cheer
really
when I cleared the pitch, so that was nice. Who wants to go? Let's
I'll go first.
Go
I'll
on
go
then,
first, there
Hancock.
you
Game 2.
Um,
Can't have been as bad.
It was High Elves, I think it was.
Okay.
I know it wasn't as bad. I struggled to sort of shut out he went on offense first. I struggled to shut out his offense a little bit. It's just Elves, and the ability to like multiple re-roll through a turn for Elves is like really crucial because they can just get past you if they need to now. They're not reliant on just one re-roll fail. That's it. Or look, it's a sketchy turn now, but it's not anymore for them because they can just roll the amount of dice that they do need to get past you. So he scored on his offensive drive. I think I made him score a little bit early. I had like 2 turns, but again, Kenry 2 turns, it didn't really turn out for me. And so going into the second half, I'd managed to get quite a few removals with Sneaky Get, which was fantastic, by the way. So going into the second half, I think I had like 7 players. I was in that tough situation as Kenry's like, do I push for a short drive here and face the loss against Elves, or do I just grind out a draw? So I just sort of thought it'd probably safer for everyone if I try and grind out a draw. So I pitch cleared him and went for the 1-1.
The traditional
me
Kembury
done.
result. We killed them all and drew.
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
again, so that team thinking was coming in there, wasn't it? About what we
Yeah,
needed as a
definitely.
result.
Yeah,
And it's again,
if I was
that coherence happens even more as you go through the event, doesn't it?
yeah.
So game
if
1
I was a solo player in that situation again, I would have pushed for the win without a shadow of a doubt. But
Yeah.
because I was part of a team, I thought
Yeah.
I've got to be safe. I'll go for the draw. Go for something safe.
So
And
we
fair
got
dues to him, he was a proper sound opponent. The nicest opponent for me out of the whole sort of 2 days, to be fair. So big shout to Striker, whatever his name was.
Necro, how did it go for you? We're coming off a draw. Things are middling. Are we on the
Yeah.
upsurge?
So I was obviously lizards, and my opponent was dwarves. So favored matchup for me, and I was like, "Oh, this is looking good for me." But he was like, "Oh, I like this matchup," and it's like, probably not. Controlled it most of the way through. He was a very slow player, and obviously like running out of time. I had I think 50 minutes for my entire offensive drive, so that was pushing it. And I realized it was pushing it, so it forced me to kind of do the not so meta thing and score early, so turn the pressure and put it on the dwarf player instead. So he only had 20 minutes to take 4 turns and try and score. So whatever. So I scored 4 turns early. I got a riot, and then he got very frustrated. And, slammed his dice cup down turn 15 and left the table. So that was my second game. I got a win and concede, I guess.
So how was it facing someone that am I allowed to call it did a flicky? Is that
Got frustrated.
No,
yeah,
you can't say that because Flicky was there.
he was
Flicky was
blissed
there.
out and loving
Flicky's-
himself, wasn't he? He
Yeah,
was loving his
he's an
dice,
angel,
loving
yeah.
his
Like
life.
Hancock was saying, like he was watching from sat next. Like the guy was like frustrated throughout the first half because I stalled
Yeah.
him,
Yeah.
and then it just got worse and worse throughout the game until
Flicky was like
he just
handing
quit
out
turn 15.
flowers.
He was
He was
blissed up and loving his life.
It was
Yeah,
crazy.
literally, like the flicky thing in Twitch chat was exactly what my opponent did. Dice cup down,
It's just not possible.
off.
Yeah.
Turn 15. So that was I got a win, but it was kind of soured a little bit by that.
Wow. And Dimmy, so we got 2 wins there, me and Necro. Hancock's coming in with the points, getting us a draw. Is this our dominant team performance? How'd it go for you, son?
It went really well. Like the actual game itself went well, and like to be fair, I've obviously had a week to calm down and reflect. Like, so my first half was slow, right? So he put me on offense first. I scored. Oh no, yeah. Sorry, I was on offense first. It was quite a slow half, like, and I was looking at the clock, thinking this is going really slow. This needs to go quicker. This needs to go quicker. Like, I scored turn 8, or I think I scored. Yeah, I always scored turn 7 or turn 8, but then there was a riot which gave him an extra turn, so he had a 3 turn back. I think I scored turn 7 and he had 3 turn back. This added to the fact that the game was very, very long. And then in his half, like, he scored in 4 turns, but like it took him it took us a very long time to get to his score on turn 4. So I had a 4 turn drive back, but I had like 10 minutes, and then I basically got to the point where I had a 3+ dodge to score, but the clock ran out, and I didn't realize when the clock runs out, the clock runs out, and that is it. That's game. Like, I thought they just let you carry on until like the next round or whatever. Like, I thought like I'm just an idiot basically, and I learned a very harsh, valuable lesson that, like, no, you can't mess about with time, and like you need to know, like like it's a 2.5 hour thing, right? The main problem with timing is like your first half should be an hour, because a 1 turn can take 15 minutes, like, at least, and then the next half wants to be an hour because that 1 turn can be another 15 minutes. So like you need to like play, and like you need to play fast for first 4 turns. Just play fast, get it done, like, and then the big 4 crucial turns, they're the ones. Someone said that to me as well. Like, so I did bump into some guy with the man bun. We bumped into him in that pub, and he was like, "Play fast, first 4 turns, play fast." And I should have taken more attention to it, but yeah, like we basically ran out of time in a game that I was going to win, but I was very unhappy about it. But
You
at
remember?
the end of the day, it was a good lesson.
Do you remember I asked about that Discord thread where we talked about all the things to try and get you guys somewhat in the mindset? Had anyone in there mentioned
Everyone,
chess clocks or
everyone.
keeping your eye on the timing at all? Or
Yeah, all right, mate. All right.
your
I have too much
smartphone?
faith.
Did you download that app I said that had the chess clock on it?
I have too much faith in people.
And did you have that phone in your
You were
pocket?
too nice. You were too.
Yeah, I was too nice in
No,
that game.
look,
I was too nice.
it's. I mean, obviously, I mean, all joking aside, it is 100% on you. You let us all down. You could have had the win, which would have given us a 1 extra point. But I let you down too because I was your captain, and having won a game against the Amazons and destroyed them, I quickly took myself off and stretched my legs. And I shouldn't have done. I should have come over and insisted on putting a damn chess clock down and winning that game. So yeah, we let ourselves down there. We should have had a chess clock on that one. It was looking tight, and when it looks tight, you should have a chess clock out. And that way, you know exactly how long you've got and the other guy's got, and it means you can, at least try and get it done in the time. Doesn't mean it would have changed the outcome. But yeah, we've all learned a lesson there, haven't we? That chess clocks are good.
Yeah.
If not compulsory, you should certainly have the option. So we got 2 wins. That was 2 wins and 2 draws out of that game. Not 3 wins and 1 draw, but 2 wins and 2 draws. And we went into game 3, our tails up, everyone in a good mood, and we faced Team Wales. Now, it's the half of Team Wales that applied first, so they get to use the name Team Wales. So it wasn't the half of Team Wales with Andy Davo, Hawker, and Hellboy on it. It was the other half of Team Wales, indistinguishable in their uniformly English accents and red shirts. So how did this one go for us all? I faced Jaywood. Dimmy faced Scab. Necronome faced No Number, a friend of the show, the guy that was on talking about how much better he's got at Blood Bowl. Let's see what Necro thinks. And Hancock faced that other Asian guy. We could do an entire show about that name and diversity, but we've sort of already done a bit of that show, and we will certainly do some more of it another time. This time, let's start with Mr. Hancock again. How'd it go with you against that other Asian guy who's lovely and a good...
Yeah, he's a lovely chap, and actually one of probably 2
Asian guys? I mean, obviously.
No. One of 2 people out of the Welsh teams that was actually Welsh.
Yes.
He had a
Yeah,
proper
he is
Welsh
Welsh.
accent, and he was a Welshman through and through, and he was a lovely chap as well, a really nice guy. Yeah, it went. It was against Shambling Undead, and it went. I managed to remove a Mummy turn 2, I think it was, but regen. And then I lost a Tomb Guardian, his turn 2, and no regen. And I lost a couple of other positionals, and I was on defense first. He was driving into me. I was on defense first, and lost a few positionals, so I was about seven or eight players on the pitch. He rolled a 1D power in the middle of the match, like turn 5, against a Tomb Guardian that stopped a sack on the ball. So I ended up having to Tomb Guardian dodge, and I sacked the ball. But I didn't have the positional players at hand to sort of do anything with the sack sort of thing. It was more the ball's on the floor, fingers crossed he doesn't pick it up and score, which he did.
It is better than in his hands, but yeah.
Yeah. So I that was the highlight of that game. I managed to 5+ Team Guardian dodge blitz into ball sack, which was glorious against a Blodge Ghoul. And I think it even made him score early because I had a couple of plays down the pitch. So I think I had like 2 turns again to score back, but obviously Kemry, I didn't pull it off.
Yeah, it's got to be said, you weren't loving the Kemry day one, were you?
No, not at all. Like over the tournament, I wouldn't take him again, sort of thing. And I sort of mentioned before we came on that like Kemry are a team that need to be positionally accurate. And when you're not seeing the game as you usually do, and your positional accuracy is off a little bit, it can matter a lot with Kemry.
Yeah.
Like your follows, your stops, your stays, your position is really key.
Makes
Being
sense.
a little bit off compared to what I usually was, sort of, I think it cost me some draws and definitely cost me the loss. But my offensive drive was quite steady. I just balled my way up one side pretty much, and managed to get the touchdown. So yeah, draw again.
Yep, two draws on the day, a little under the 50%, but putting those points in, helping the team.
Yeah.
Dimmy, did we come back from the disaster of game 2 and the draw? How was game 3?
Yeah, I want to shout out to Scab if he ever sees it. Scav, if he ever sees this, he was like genuinely the nicest guy I played against. No disrespect to the rest of the guys, but he was amazing. Like he was really friendly. Again, I did the whole first ever tabletop tournament, and like he was lovely. He was absolutely lovely from start to finish, and the game went really well for me. Like I think like my drive was pretty straightforward. And then I came across the problem with humans, right? Humans, he had 2 halflings and he had a movement 8 catcher and an ogre, and I was like, how the hell do I defend this one turn? The answer is you don't. They just score. So we went 1-1 at half time, and I was like a bit cheesed off and stuff. But like I managed to turn him over in his half, get the score. Like it was my most enjoyable game, I think, of the whole thing, and I think a lot of it was down to Scab. Like he was genuinely a really nice bloke, and if you do ever see this, shout
another
out,
win for Dimmy.
big win, yeah.
Yeah, so 2-1-0 on the day. Necro, game 3, how'd it go for you?
Yeah,
How
against
was the Welsh?
No numbers orcs I was playing against. And it was again a very close first half. Managed to get some blitzes through on my defense, but lizards are so strong on defense right now. They're just, I mean, surprise, lizards. But yeah, managed to stall his drive, and then he forced me to score quick on my next one. It's the first time I came against a sneaky git setup. He was running 2 goblins, one with sneaky git, one as the ball carrier, and sneaky is pretty terrifying for a lizard team. So yeah, forced me to score early, and I just about delayed it enough to hold on to a win that game. But yeah, he was a little bit frustrated by it. But then, like over the course of like the weekend, I kept bumping into him. We kept like talking about it, like how did that stuff, and what happened on this turn? What could we have done differently? That kind of thing. So I had like a lot of discussion with him about how the game could have turned or changed kind of way, or what could have happened differently. And it was quite nice to reflect on, one of the games that I previously played with an opponent who was interested in seeing how, they lost or how I played, or getting feedback, which was quite nice.
And did you feel he was coming to terms with how that had happened and that?
Yeah, there was a couple of things. Like it was like a critical thing around turn 14 where he was meant to dodge a goblin through, didn't quite do it, and forgot to do it in the moment because troll stupided, so he just ended his turn prematurely. It's like stuff like that, just little things you forget while playing tabletop. Obviously, reflected on how things are different and what each of us would have done differently against each other, and then you learn a little bit from people who are more experienced. So he's a nice guy.
Yeah, I had a similar experience. I mean, I played Jaywood, who was lovely, and yet I would still quite happily have beaten him within an inch of his life. He was playing Imperial Nobility, which I hate and despise now more than elves. Yeah, even more than elves. They're an anti-team. They did very little on their drive. I stopped them really quite easily, despite being quite short on numbers. But on my drive, he stopped me incredibly easily because you hit fend things and they fend and you don't go anywhere, and you hit stand firm things and they stand firm and they don't go anywhere, and you hit wrestle things and they wrestle you down and no one goes anywhere. So just no one goes anywhere. And you'd have thought with elves or something that's not going to be that difficult, and I imagine it wasn't. And sure enough, he said that really his team didn't stop anyone else all weekend, but it sure as hell stopped me. And then, I mean, I nearly turned him over on his drive, but only because of a slight positional mistake on his part. And then I was a 3+, 1 in 9, 2+2+, from getting the win without a reroll. And the 1 in 9 failed. So, I mean, I felt I was a bit grumpy just because Imperial Nobility, I really didn't come up with a plan to solve it within that game. More than the guy himself, who was lovely. And despite that chance, which, I mean, isn't bad odds, it felt more that I hadn't solved the problem rather than the dice had gone bad for me. But as a team, that still gave us the win, and we went overnight with 3 wins as a team. You could have knocked me off my chair. I genuinely thought coming up that if we got over 50% as a team, that meant you'd adjusted by the end of it, and that would be good, and everyone would have had a good time. We got 50% on day 1. So how did that feel?
Shit.
and terrible, yeah. It felt great and terrible at the same time.
Crap.
Yeah. Did you in 10th place out of everyone?
Did you not feel
Oh,
you
yeah,
were
that
part
was
of the
mental,
party,
yeah.
Hancock?
Not at all. No, I finished the day 0-2-1, and I was generally like annoyed with myself. I thought I could have at least got a win on day 1. Obviously, I'm not familiar with tabletop, so I don't know what sort of results people expect day 1, day 2, or whatever. But like, after you lot especially go like 2-1-0, 2-0-1 or whatever, there's me with 0-2-1. I was like, oh, why am I?
Yeah, I think we were all
What the hell
2-1-0 at the end of day 1.
Yeah.
I was
yeah.
asking why is Hancock even here? I was like, let's swap him for
Understandable,
Jimmy.
man.
Let's swap him for
Yeah,
Jimmy.
yeah. I was
Yeah.
genuinely gutted, and that especially with the first loss being like, feeling like I wouldn't usually lose against this person, sort of thing. So it was just like, rough. But yeah, I was chuffed for the team, really chuffed for the team, but disappointed I'd let everyone down so much, sort of thing.
Dimmy, Necro, we were happy, weren't we? We were on cloud 9, but was that
I was
all
just
positive?
buzzing. Yeah, I was buzzing to be there. Like you could tell Hancock was down as well.
Yeah.
Like you could tell Hancock was a bit down and stuff. And
So you rode that by teasing him about it relentlessly.
Yeah,
I wasn't. I don't think. I think you. I think you were worse.
Defo did. You're like, got weird.
To be fair, I think you
I
identified
was
why it was. Though.
supportive.
You early on, you knew it was Kemry, and you were like, not feeling this team. I wish you'd taken a different team.
Yeah,
So you just kind of knew by the end of day 1 what your problem was, regardless of like how you
But-
performed anyway.
And
I'd
we
say
knew...
on late reflection as well, it's like I've identified before already, is that being able to seeing the board, the positional play on camera is just so key, and not doing that efficiently will end up drawing and losing. So,
And we knew fairly quickly going overnight that we were, first of all, going to open up the second day on the second set of boards, tables 5, 6, 7, and 8, and that we would be against Team Italy. So that was fun. How did that feel?
Daunting.
Terrible. Because we knew we had I don't know, like it's cool, like doing so well. Obviously, like it was.
We were in third place overnight.
It was ridiculous, yeah. And then but then it was knowing that we're going to face, Team Italy, and yeah, that was a little bit terrifying overnight, I suppose.
God, I mean, for anyone that's listening on Spotify, what the YouTubers have just seen is 3 young men's heads all go and their eyes drop down all at once as they remember how that felt. The pit in their stomach when we saw the draw and they heard Team Italy. I thought the visuals there spoke 1,000 words. So that was tough. So we did what you should do. Obviously, we got a good night's sleep. We had our Huel. We made sure we'd had a little workout and that we discussed some team tactics. We got up early, had a little team run, did a quick bonding session, and then made sure we got there, got focused, and got prepared.
yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
or we went out and got completely pissed. Hancock got evicted, ended up sleeping in a lay-by, getting assaulted by some doggers, eating dodgy pizza, while the rest of us coped with the fact that he'd been evicted and we might get evicted, went to a really interesting Polish restaurant and ended up having some odd food. Was that the right way to prepare for the next day?
100%. Wouldn't do it differently again.
I would have got that kebab again, like from the Friday night. I
That
would've
was
got
nice.
the
That
on the
food truck
Saturday.
kebab.
Well, you
That
weren't a fan of my
kebab was-
candlelit dinner?
So just as we were
No,
gathering to go out for the
oh.
evening, Necro arrives and with this haunted look on his face and comes in the flat, which was up on the first floor, and says, "There's an old man cross downstairs. You need to go
Oh, this is
you need
hilarious.
to go and talk to him." So I went downstairs and there's an 84-year-old gentleman waving a stick at me before I even arrive and telling me that Hancock's van has to get evicted from the car parking space that comes with the Airbnb, which it turns out is part of an old people's residential association, and that it shouldn't be rented out, certainly not to people under the age of 80, and that there's an agreement that no one in the car park's allowed commercial vehicles there. And this isn't the first time they've done it. So he's shouting at me quite a lot, and whilst I eventually get him calm, that's not easy, and say hello and introduce myself, it becomes obvious that there's not going to be a solution here. And as we not only have a van with someone sleeping in it parked in their car park, we also have someone on the sofa, which isn't really supposed to be there. And there's things like no drinking and smoking, and the place looks, well, we haven't obeyed all of the rules, let's put it that way. So I go back up, and I'm part thinking, should we tell this old man to sling his hook? But I sort of explain the situation, and Hancock basically says he's going to drive off and disappear, and that's the last we see of him.
Yep.
Yeah, and by the way, this was the most hilarious conversation
So funny.
I've ever had. We
So
were
funny.
all sat in the flat. Well, PC.
Nearly pissing ourselves.
Yeah, and this guy were going at it. Like we proper like Shakespearean trained argumentative skills. Like
What he was being unreasonable.
He was
being
being
unreasonable.
yeah. And like, yeah, you were pulling all the cards out. You're like, oh, I'm emotionally hurt by your accusations.
I just said that
And
he was
all-
speaking to me as if I was a child, and I found that offensive.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like I would have just gone out there and gone F, and then we would have been kicked out.
Yeah, I didn't
Just
feel
put
that was
everyone
the
in-
solution,
in-
Debbie.
Just to put everyone
Yeah.
in the picture about like the parking setup, by the way. There was like 4 cars out of like what
20
16,
spaces.
20 spaces. And like I wasn't in the way of
No,
anyone.
no,
it
it was
wasn't an
all-
issue at all.
They heard your Scouse accent, mate. They were like, "You
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
stay
so-
there.
Yeah,
You
they
can't
thought you were on
stay
the
there."
rob. That's almost
They thought
certainly
they
what it was.
were gonna wake up with no tires.
Yeah. But it's one of them. It's something you just accept when you've got a van that big, because it is a big van. It's it's not a small thing. So I just packed up and went, found a lay-by, got a Pizza Hut.
It's big enough you could get all the lead off a roof in it, couldn't you?
Yeah, pretty much. A roof and a half generally. Yeah.
So then we all just decided that Hancock would probably be all right, wouldn't he? And ignored the fact that he'd disappeared and went off and had some food, got drunk, went back to the flat and got a lot drunker and went to bed about 2:30. Some of the Team Fumble guys did end up in Pop World, but none of us made it this year, to my shame and regret. Maybe my Pop World years are behind me, or perhaps they're ahead of me. I mean, who knows? Should we have gone to Pop World, or should
No.
we have got another kebab?
No.
Maybe the Friday
The
night
only
kebab
the
was
only
pretty
regret
special.
from the whole weekend is going to the Polish place and not getting a second kebab. Like there was a street van, like a street burger van that done kebabs, and honestly,
Lies.
the kebab in York is
No,
amazing.
I should have insisted. I should have taken you up to the place where you get kebab, but it's in a Yorkshire pudding. So next time.
Oh,
next
yeah,
time,
yeah,
next time.
yeah.
I promise next time. If it's still there, I promise next time we'll do that. So we got up. We got there again reasonably early, because I do think you need to be at a tournament half an hour before to, clear your bowels, get used to the smell, work out where you're sitting, all of that sort of stuff.
It's too early. mate.
Dimmy
It's too
G.
early, yeah.
Took over from me on board 1. He was in the bull seat against Liam from Team Italy, an incredibly experienced international quality tabletop player. I was on board 2 against Dirold, who was lovely. Necronome faced Owen 86 on board 3. Hancock still brought up the rear facing Bucky. How was our game 4, guys? Let's start with Dimmy. What did top board feel like? How was that, man?
Very hungover.
Yeah.
Very. No, it wasn't too.
And suddenly
to be honest,
board
mate,
5 at the UKTC in your 4th ever tabletop game against an
like
international quality man. How did it feel?
the thing is, right, is like I wasn't like completely overwhelmed by it because this is my first experience at tabletop. Like to me, it didn't I was like, yeah, we're doing well and stuff like, and yeah, the Italian guys are good and stuff like that. But like, I didn't realize how like good they were. Do you know what I mean? Like for me, this is all still surreal. This is like my first ever tabletop or whatever. And then I started playing the guy, and the guy was really good. And the one thing he did that better than any other player is like with his dice cup, he put it like horizontally and shook it, and then like put it down, so like you could have no complaints about how he rolled his dice, all this sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like mate, I played solidly. Like I got a turn 7 score again, my second turn 7 score, which I'm not proud of. But he scored a 14% play. He scored a 14% play to make it at 1-1 at half time. It was like a 4-4, 3, 2-2, 3, 4, no 4-3, and then like what can you do? And then in the second half, he kind of smashed me to bits a bit, and then he won 2. Like I sacked him on his drive, but yeah, he won 2-1 in the end. And like hats off to the guy, very very nice bloke. Well, obviously we didn't speak too much because he spoke very little English and stuff. Like, but I remember like the guy you were playing was his captain, I think, and he
Yeah.
turned around. He turned around to him at one point and was just like, "Yeah, this is going really badly." And then
It
he
was for
scored
both of them. Dirald,
yeah,
on
and
my
then
team, I faced their captain, Dirald, lovely guy, spoke great English.
he was a good
One of
bloke,
those
yeah.
guys with sort of about 50, but smaller little D6s, and he'd use each one, and then they'd move to the other pile of used dice in his dice cup. You know, we're all mad in our own ways.
Yeah.
He had Dark Elves. It was an absolute nightmare for me. My drive, I was removing him and smashing him up, but then they just instantly all flicked in front of my drive. Pushed me out of range, but he either left a runner in range. He spotted that halfway through his turn, moved everyone to cover that, but that left me a push to put myself back in range. I needed a 4-3-2-2 with a reroll, and I made a 5 and a 6, I think, trying to make a 2 and a 3 trying to make the 4. So I failed the 4. So I felt I'd quite hard done by. He reckons he'd made 40 dodges without rolling a 1. I think it was more like 25, but there was a hell of a lot, and a few of them were 3s. But he hadn't used a reroll in the whole half. He used his first reroll in turn 15. On his drive, I did remove most of the elves. I had 4 2+s to sack him on 2 die with a reroll when I got there, but I snaked the 4th one. And then he had 6 elves, no rerolls, but elfed it home. So I lost, and Dimmy lost. The team was in trouble. Tell me something went right. Necro, did you pull through for us? Did you get us the win in Game 3 against Team Italy?
No, it was looking that way for a while. So I had a lizard mirror match. I had the 1 guard. He took 5 block instead. I removed his Crocs turn 3 and never came back for the rest of the game. He also had a chameleon skink. Can't tell you how good they are because I also removed that turn 4. And then I scored on his drive, so it was looking up. And then it came around to my drive, and I was all on board to score my second touchdown. Then he cage dived me and rolled double 6. So I lost the ball to a double 6 skink cage dive. Sometimes.
So you got us a draw.
I got us a draw in the end. Yeah, it was one of the toughest games. I hate mirror matches. He was a really nice guy, and yeah, it was definitely the hardest game of the weekend.
So I'd had a tough game and a loss, and I did feel somewhat diced, despite by a lovely guy. And at the exact moment where my result was made final, Hancock realised and turns to me and went, "PC's lost. Ha! Get fucked." Which I didn't.
You misinterpreted it.
I
PC, 'cause
completely
I was talking to
misinterpreted
Demi,
and decided instead of over responding to it, I went and had a cigarette and came back. So my apologies. I did. It hit me at exactly the wrong moment. So I decided let's not get bad. Well, they did say something back, didn't they? Which wasn't nice, and I walked off.
It wasn't at you, by the way. I was talking to Demi. I've been saying Demi the entire morning. I've been saying to Demi, I was like, as soon as you lose, Demi,
because
I'll be
Dimmy
so
had
happy.
Dimmy had ridden you the day before, so
Yeah,
I took that as me. And I just wanted to say sorry, so that I did walk away, which is the right thing to do. And when I came back, I hope that wasn't a harsh moment, because yours went all right, didn't it?
Yeah, I sat down a bit perplexed, to be honest. I was against Wood Elves, but you wouldn't know it to look at the board. The first time I'd ever seen proxy models of this extent. So he's sitting down, he's getting his gear out. The first model he gets out is this giant priest at an altar.
Oh my
I'm
god,
like,
that team. I remember seeing that and thinking,
what is going on here? And he's like, Tree Man. Okay, right, Tree Man. Oh yeah, great stuff. And then he gets out these very sexy nuns, and they're in fantastic, massive breasts and bums, great looking slutty nuns apparently, and they're all in twerking positions, and they're his linemen and his catchers. I was just like, what's this team? What am I against? And then he gets 2 pro elf blitzers out. He's like war dancers. I was like, how does this fit the team? What is going on? It's crazy. So I tried to get my head around like his theme and like how to identify the models. I got there eventually, but I was like, okay, now 11-man Wood Elves, let's have it. And he goes on offense first. I managed to get him to, he's forcing himself, squeezing himself down the side. Then I roll a 1 in 81, about turn 5. So all the pressure sort of release. He manages to stall. I put enough pressure on for him to score early, turn 7. And so I go in the quick score attempt with Kemry on 2 turns, and I got it to. It was in the Blitzrow's hands. I'm 7 away from the end zone. All I need to do is a 6+ dodge uphill into a 4+ dodge. Dead easy. Funny enough, doesn't work. So I have to grind out the win against Wood Elves, which we managed to do, and we stopped the 1 turn on turn 16. So we got the draw.
So we've got 2 draws, 2 losses. We lost game 4. In disarray, plummeting to where we feel our expected level is. Spirits were a bit down, not universally so. You know, it's still been already a decent weekend, even if we lost every other game. And then we found out we were up against Day and his team, TBPC. So it was Day, Indibro, Envoyan, and JKB. For those that don't know Day, he is the partner, friend, live-in lover, significant other to Dizzy Bess, who will be on the next One World, One Blood Bowl, talking about the NAFC, which I believe she is going to. So we sat down to face them. We needed to pull out of this nosedive by doing something decent for ourselves. Necro had taken over on our board 1 up against Indibro. DBG was sat down opposite Day. I had plummeted to board 3 and faced Envoyan, and Hancock faced JKB on board 4. Necro, board 1, leading the team. How'd it feel? How'd it go?
I think that game was my favourite game of the weekend. The guy comes up to me, he's like, "Oh, I'm 4-0 so far. I haven't lost a game. I'm looking to go 6-0." I'm like, okay. Like, you know what? I'm not having it.
That cheers me up to hear. Brilliant.
Like, cool. I was like, cool. This is my first event. Hi. I don't know what I'm doing. So like, just got on there, played the game. He's playing Orcs. And it's where the game, and I think finally clicked for me. I was just able to actually have a proper casual chat with him about, how he plays Blood Bowl, where he plays, and just generally just take my turns. Don't really need to do too much. Say I'm hitting here, blah blah blah. Then in between, just having a proper casual chat about it and just letting the turns go. And I felt from then onwards pretty relaxed about it, and I managed to get out the win in that game. Just outbash the Orcs with the lizards, which seems to be the theme. Why they're tier 1 team. They're pretty nuts.
Dibby, how'd it go?
Yeah, I actually got to play Day, so I must admit as well, Necronome's opponent was probably one of the nicest guys as well. Like, because I was sat next to him, so I was like, oh, he's really nice. But no, like me and Day, we had a solid game.
How was it playing someone you sort of knew, or at least knew of? Because that was new.
I really didn't want to lose. Like I said to Hancock, I think I said to you guys as well. I was like, I don't want to play anyone that I know.
Yeah,
like, I don't want to play anyone that I know because I don't know why. Like that's a weird psychological thing with me. It was like I'd rather just have like an empty canvas and just like even if they're brilliant, I'd rather just not know. Do you know what I mean? So I can play and not like whatever. Like, and then as soon as I saw Day, I was like, I cannot lose to Day. and then no disrespect to Day Day like at all. Like that's not a disrespectful thing. Like it's just I cannot lose to someone that I know that it like whatever. So then like I immediately like have to like I don't know it grinds my it's hard to explain. It's hard to explain, but like anyway. So we had a game. He was Lizards. He won the toss. He went on offense, and like he played really, really well. He made one mistake in his first half, which allowed me to sack the ball, and then he recovered it really well, and then he got it safe. I had like a 5+, 4+, 3+ dodge with a goal, which I made, and then sacked it again. Sacked the ball, called it on a blodger. He hit my blodger, didn't get it, re-rolled it, got the pow, ball on the floor, picked it up, no problem, scored. So that was 1-0 at half time, and then second half, like I kind of banged on him quite a bit, like undead. Undead are great, by the way. Banged on him a bit. I scored turn 8, and then the funniest thing happened to me in this game was he's setting up for his one turn. Kickoff event was suspicious ref or not suspicious officious ref. So roll like I only had 9 players, so I did the one turn defense. I had 2 mummies on the line, and I had a ghoul in the middle, which he set up his whole one turn around pushing the ghoul. Officious ref, a random player gets stunned. I rolled a D9 or I rolled a D12 and 1 to 9, and it was the ghoul on the LOS. So the ghoul got stunned, but if you roll a 1, it gets sent off, and then I rolled a 1, he got sent off. So basically, I had 2 mummies on the LOS, and he had no way of chain pushing, and it was hilarious. So we drew 1-1, and it was a fair result, and it was a good game, a very good, fun game.
Excellent. I got very lucky. I had a Khemri team, and I got all over them from the start. Stopped their drive, drove back against them fairly easily as well, and got us a nice win. And that just brings us obviously to Hancock, doesn't it?
Yes.
Down in Board 4. How was things down
Board
there in the
4.
basement, in the sewer?
The lad I pulled up across was Skaven, so I was like, oh, it could be a little bit tricky. Skaven, never a particularly nice team to play against us because he can just pull it out of the bag, can't he?
Yeah.
But the lad, he was dead nice lad, so he put me on offense first, so ground down the field. I think I got like 1 removal. Managed to bang it in. My 1 turn defense was successful, and then he went on his offense and he scored about turn 3, I think. Turn 3 or turn 4. And it's at this stage in the day I'm starting to really sweat about getting a win. So it's like he's giving me 4 turns here. I can do this. I can do 4 or 5
Even
turns.
with
I can
Khemri.
do this. Even with Khemri, I can get this done. And as I was setting up, I was thinking to myself, I'm a little bit far forward here. I know I've got 2 at the back, but I'm a little bit far forward. It'll be all right. It's fine. It'll be all right. And kick-off event blitz, and he got the full 6 players to use to dive the ball. And not only that, the ball landed 1 away from my end zone, so it was as deep, almost as deep as it could possibly be. And my head just went down. I thought, I'm not going to win a single effing game at this effing tournament. So he blitzed straight through. I'm swamped by rats. I'm desperate to sort of get the draw at this stage, but managed to secure the ball, sort of stay safe. He kept trying to sack it in ways that I sure wouldn't do. So I managed to surf a rat, for example, like turn 5 or something. But it came down to him touching a Roger to try and sack the ball, 4 pushes, which was super lucky on my part. And so on the last turn, I had to clear the Roger, do a 4+ handoff and a 2+2+ for the win, and I managed it. So at last, I got a win.
Hancock gets the win. Dimmy, say something nice to Hancock.
Yeah, come on, say something nice to me, Dimmy.
No.
Oh, fair. Yeah, I understand. It's fair.
Harsh. Well, look, I thought it was well deserved, and you stuck at it until we got you there, and you got there. And the look on your face, I mean, it's as happy now as you were then. I mean, it's, you can tell that's a great memory.
Yeah.
Was it a weight off the shoulders getting that first tabletop?
Yeah, I think then it was less like happy, more just thank fuck for that. Like, oh my God, it's just like the stress of not having won a game yet left my system, sort of thing.
Relief.
Yeah, relief more than happiness, to be honest. So I could go into the final game like I've won one game at least.
But actually, you were still even for
gutted.
the tournament, weren't you? It's one win, one loss, and what
Yeah,
3 draws at
three
this point.
draws.
So
Yeah.
you know, right on
Yeah.
that balance. And of course, that means we win as a team. So we go into the final round, and we're back on boards 5, 6, 7, and 8. We're back up at the business end of this tournament, getting into the final round of the United Kingdom Team Challenge, which has some of the best teams from all over the UK, and also, you know, the cream of Europe. Some of the cream of Europe come over and play as well. On board 5, leading out the team was Necro Gnome, again against the Hubble champions we were facing, and that was against Danzipan. I faced Ratman on board 2. DBG faced BGM Clean on board
McLean,
3.
isn't it?
McLean, yeah, BG and McLean, okay. And Hancock faced Yorkie on board 8. Muppet asked, just as we're going, why is Hancock always on board 4? Because we didn't really want to sit near him if we could avoid it. You know, his stench of failure. No, it's internally sorted by the points that you've won. So the person who's doing the best ends up on the top board. And the person who has got the least points ends up facing the person on their team who's got the least points. So it is internally Swiss, as well as sort of Swiss as what teams face each other. Now that does mean that in terms of his strength of schedule, Hancock obviously got unlucky because every game he faced was against someone who similarly, you know, hadn't been getting that great a result. So that's why if you look at individual rankings in these things, they're all sorts of all over the place. You can have the same points as someone, but they can have a huge strength of schedule difference because of what boards they were on. So we're into the final round. How did that feel, guys? You know, we are looking at we're right up at the business end of this tournament. We're probably not going to win because of the loss, but we're looking at possible placing here. I mean, wow.
It hadn't even crossed my mind, to be honest. Yeah,
crazy.
tired.
Yeah, game 6, it was like, oh my god. Like, this is so much Blood Bowl. Like, we probably didn't touch
Right, so
on
there's
it
me,
either
crest
day
of the
one.
crest of a wave. You know, here we go. Oh my god! And there's all you like, oh man, I just want to go to my bed. Can't go home. I'm done. I'm done.
I just want to go home. I've had enough. Don't make me play anymore.
Yeah,
It's
fatigue was set in a little bit by
yeah,
that point.
like after day one, day one, your first ever tournament, 3 games. It is a lot. It is a lot,
it's a
and you're
lot, yeah.
shattered. And then you have a good night out, and then you play like. Then we played like our most serious round, like game 1 on that day against the Italians, and then we had and then I had a tough game against Day. I was a bit hungover and whatever, and like by this game, I was just like, oh, I'm really tired. I'm really tired. But then we kind of were like, we're in a position to actually do something, like you say, PC. So so it's like, so we have to we can't just throw the game or just go through the motions. We have to actually play some Blood Bowl.
So mine went very, very badly. My dwarf drive was looking fine, and then I had one of those turns where just everything fails. Then they have a turn where everything works. I took a bad decision, tried a 1-die that I couldn't afford to skull, and it sculled. He sacked my ball carrier, got the perfect scatter, picked up without a reroll, ran off without a reroll, GFI without a reroll. I had 2-die to sack him with block against a blockless ball carrier, but no reroll, and it was pushes, so that was 75% there. And then he did exactly what I'd failed against the Dark Elves of 4+, 3+, 2+, 2+ to score. So I was really happy about that. That cheered me up immensely, and I was in a good place. And in the second half, we did manage to turn him over, despite a strength 4 block potato with a guard standing next to it. I did manage to take him down. I did manage to get the ball, and we did drive back and get the draw. But it was only a draw. And you know, this is the tough end of things. I felt all weekend I did okay. You know, I got 3 wins, 2 draws, and a loss. That's fine. I'm happy with that. But I had hoped to do more, and I felt in 3 games, in all those edge situations, the dice went against me, and that's Blood Bowl. That's going to happen. But it meant I hadn't given the basket to sort of try and carry you through if any of you were freaking out that I had hoped to. And I think you'd done extraordinarily well. So had this final series of games go, Dimmy, let's start with you, son. You were facing McLean.
Yeah, Corn. He was playing Corn.
As big a problem for you?
No, I found because I play Fumble, so I've played Corn, and I think Corn are really bad. So I was like, all right, I got and I've got Undead as well, so like the frenzy traps and stuff like that. So like I had an idea of how to play it, and I specifically played Undead versus Corn a lot because for the miner on Fumble,
Right.
I was building an Undead team, and like obviously just every time someone had a Corn team, I was picking them to play against because I thought it was pretty good. But yeah, so it was raining, so he kicked me the ball because obviously he didn't want to pick it up in the rain, and he put his big guy on the LOS, and my mummy KO'd it like first hit the drive, so no big guy. And then it just went. The game went really, really well. Like again, it was similar to the first game. Not too much problems.
So Dimmy
like
nailed us the win.
got the win. Yeah, there
Yeah,
you go.
so that got us one up. I had drawn.
Mm.
Oh no, you drew, didn't you?
No, I beat him. Yeah.
Oh, you beat him, so that was 1-0 up.
Mm.
I drew. Yeah, I mean, Dimmy's two big insights so far. Undead quite good, Corn quite bad.
yeah, yeah.
You've heard it here first. This is bonehead podcast quality information we're handing out here. Dimmy, I think that's gospel. I think you nailed that. Necro, so we've got a win, we've got a draw. Take it home for us, Necro. You've been our man on fire. You're on our board one. It's been your tournament. Nail it.
So my opponent's a lovely guy playing against Necro for the first time. And if getting 2 sources cast on turn 1 and your Apo failing is any way to start a game, that's pretty much how it started. I was playing Blood Bowl 7s by the end of the first half, and throughout the second half, the game was out of my control turn 1. I stalled him with 7 players the first half, so I stopped his drive, and I just couldn't keep the ball safe from all the speed of the werewolves and everything. It was just an absolute nightmare. Almost stalled it again. It was just a proper scrap towards the touchdown line with the skinks, and just couldn't hold it in the end. It was nuts. The race, however, in this kind of format where you can put skills on them, ridiculous. They're so strong. The foul appearance is ridiculous. The sidestep guard is annoying with block as well. They are the ultimate frustration for a team like Lizardmen, especially when you play down the floor or anything like that. They're just nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
The final
But,
2
like,
games
yeah,
were
first loss.
your 2 toughest games, weren't they?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Do you think
Sure.
any part of that was the top board, or do you think it was just tiredness and bad dice?
I couldn't control the dice on the turn 1 of that last game. It's just out of my hands turn 1. I just got two lucky high rolls and my Saurus are gone. Like claw. That's it. Like the only time I got severely bashed was claw, or sneaky git trying to have a go at me. That's it.
So we've each got 3-2-1, me, Dimmy, and Necro. But this round is poised. We've got a win, we've got a loss, we've got a draw. We're relying on Hancock. It's not been Hancock's tournament, but Hancock is coming off a win. He's at 50%. Hancock, how did game 6 go? Did you bring it home?
Started quite funny, to be honest. I was next to Dim, wasn't I? And just want to say about Dim's game. I glanced over about 2 and 4. I can see he's like a big guy in the Kaz box. There's quite a few in the KO, and he just looked at me and he's like, just gives a sly wink. I was like, you prick, you fucking diced the shit out of someone again, haven't you? You fucking. Anyway, so my game, I start, shake hands with Shane, I think it was. Can't remember what his designated name was.
Yorkie, yeah.
Exchange rosters, which we're doing all sort of tournament. I sort of look at the sheet, but don't really look at the sheet. I wait till whatever the person in front of me says. Like, this is this. Just so you know the visual sort of connection between what they're saying and what's going on the board and stuff like that. So I give him my sheet, and he's having a think. He's having a look at his sheet, and he's doing some calculations in his head, and he's not happy. He's not happy at all.
I forgot about
He's not a happy man. So he says to me, your team's illegal. It's about 350 TV over. I was like, what the fuck are you on about? We can take it to I just said, because it was like game 6, I was tired. I said, come on, let's take it to the TOs. That's the easiest thing to do.
Possibly the first time you've said, let's take this to the police.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. First and probably only and ever, take it to the official people. They're confused with what he's saying. And I'm confused with what he's saying at this stage. I'm like, what are you on about? My team's illegal, but especially by that much, it just doesn't make any sense.
Should have laminated it.
Yeah, should have laminated it. It was my fault. I didn't realize when you print your team off, I on the the thing I'd used, I put the skills on them, and it automatically adds to the TV.
Yeah, mine
And so,
too. That's fine.
yeah, I didn't realize that it should be fine or should not be fine. Anyway, he was very confused by it. My team was like 350 TV over, apparently, but no, it wasn't. It was fine.
Yeah.
So at this stage, we're about 20. What was it, Dim? Like 20 minutes over the starting time, something like that, down the drain. And so we just get back to the board. He's like, "Sorry, blah blah blah. I've never seen it printed out like that, etc. etc." It's like, yeah, not a problem. Let's get on with the game. Cool. Weather's raining. He gets to decide who's kicking and who's receiving, etc. So he decides he wants to receive, even though it's raining. I'm Camry. I was like, great, fantastic, thank you. And we kick off the game. About turn 4, I think it was. He's sort of done a bit of a potato, sort of a covered potato. But I got a reroll on the kickoff, so I'm sitting at 4 rerolls at Kemry, and I know I've got a 4-2-2 to serve his ball here. I'm thinking, I want to win this game, and I think I can, and I think this is a decent risk to take, even if it, even I've positioned everything else. There's loads of pressure on, and the 4-2-2 is just a bonus basically. So we managed to sack the ball. Ball comes in at sort of into my half, and from there I sort of scramble, recover. I managed to get the touchdown on his offensive, which is great for me. But at this stage, we're going into the second half. Dimmy's looking at me. He's in like turn 7 of his second half.
Yeah.
And I've only just started the second half. It's like 45, 50 minutes because my opponent was quite slow. Obviously, the delay at the start as well. He's dead slow. And I'm sure I'm up to like turn 3 or 4, and you come over to me and you're like, oh, what's going on? We need a win. We need this to be a win. I'm quite
BC, not me.
In a
by the way.
gentle and supportive way.
Yeah,
A loving, kind, and
No.
supportive way.
It was like, we need the win. How is your game going?
No
So
pressure.
I just looked at BBC. I said, I'm pretty sure I've got the win here. I've got the win, and his face just lit up. All the burdens of the day disappeared, and he was happy as could be. But then I was dead nervous because I'd said I got the win.
Now, to set the scene, we knew going into this game there was only one team on 5 wins. So if the maths worked for us, if they lost, there was just a tiny outside chance we could actually win the whole damn thing. But even if they didn't, even if they won, there was a decent chance we could come in a serious place in this thing, which had been, to me, unthinkable going to it. So we got the win, Hancock, did we?
Yeah, we got the win. I think it got to about turn 7, and we got like 2 minutes left on the clock or something. He's like, "Do you want to go for the 2+2+ to score, or just shake hands and win?" I was like, "I'll just say the shake hands. I'm happy. Let's end it. I've had enough football now." So shook hands and took the win, and it sort of dominated the game really.
Yeah. We didn't know where we'd finished. We found out fairly quickly that we thought at the time we had finished in 4th. If I could just briefly call your attention to this, I'm just going to show you very quickly as we freeze. Hopefully this should be ready to come up. There we are. That is the table for the UKTC. As you can see right there in 3rd position is the Twitch stream Dream Team on 10 points. The winners did get 6 wins in the end, the UKBBLA. Congratulations to them. That's another Beat Blood Bowl 2 based league. A little more tabletop experience amongst them than we've got, but well done. The Italians that beat us, the Talian Brigade, they finished 2nd. Tears Before Bedtime, friends of the show, K-Folk and his team of extraordinary gifted tabletop players came 4th. This has only been our story. We have every right to tell it because it's what happened to us. Every one of those teams will have their own stories. The team in 4th will tell you how they could have nipped us to 3rd if only this had happened or that had happened. The team in 2nd, the Italians, they beat us, and they beat us on the table. But had Dimmy called for the clock, had I got half a point against the Italians, had Hancock got his head together earlier, or had Necro not collapsed towards the end, had we got one more point as a team, we'd have been runners-up, we'd have been 2nd. But that's on all of us. It's still, to me, a story of almost the impossible. I didn't believe it was possible. I am now, and I was then, a tiny bit tearing up at the end. It ranks up with, I'm as proud of this as anything I've done in Blood Bowl. And as I said, I didn't feel I offered the support and the help to you guys that I was hoping to do so going up there. I think that's on you 3. I think you coached extraordinary Blood Bowl, all three of you, all weekend. We came away with three of us on 3-2-1, one of us on 2-3-1. Everyone contributing points, everyone getting the wins, everyone doing the key work, working as a team, coaching at your best, and just absolutely slamming it in a format you'd not touched before. I genuinely was choked, and I was as proud as I've been of anything I've touched in Blood Bowl. It felt incredible to me. We, in the end, didn't finish fourth, which is what we heard at the time. We finished third. How does that feel, guys?
Amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
on paper, it's incredible. Like it was a great feeling on the day as well. Like coming fourth was a great feeling on the day. I think it's hard for me, Dimmy and Hancock, to comprehend how hard it is to place in that position in a tabletop tournament. Just because it's our first time, so now we've kind of set a standard for ourselves.
Absolutely, yeah.
A measurable standard for ourselves.
That's the
We'll
thing.
probably
Like,
never do this well at a tabletop.
yeah, I know.
tournament ever
And then
again.
we'll realise
how good it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sort of surreal, isn't it? Really.
I mean, we had it
Down
incredibly
over there.
good. A lot of the teams that Joe Manji was talking about on the last episode, the fantasy teams, the favoured teams, they got terrible draws. They rolled into each other. They got draws off each other. They picked up bad losses. Lots of good players are wandering around going, "Oh, 4 people isn't enough in a team? One bad set of dice and it's ruined." So we got a good draw. Though we did face some top teams. The Welsh were no slouches. The guys we faced at the end were no slouches. The Italians we got much closer than I thought we would. I mean, we really could have had several of those games, but the turn of a dice.
Yeah.
I genuinely, I couldn't have been prouder. I think the three of you did coached incredibly. So just incredibly well done from me. But this is already incredibly long, and I do want to move on. We've had some questions
It's
in
okay. Yeah, no worries.
more generally about tabletop stuff. So I just want to throw a few of those out and see if there's stuff that we haven't covered as we've gone through that you want to talk about. See if some of this sparks anything. Let's start down here with COVID. We did come back with half the team with COVID. Both Dimmy and Hancock, and obviously, I wish you luck, my brothers. I hope it goes well. I hope you pull through, and thank you for still being here tonight. Is it too soon? Asked Dalthorpe from Fumble. So FD asked, what were the COVID rates amongst attendees? I'll be honest, not great. Quite a few came back from the UKTC with COVID.
Yeah.
Quite a lot on the squad. Chaos did. One of my opponents from the Welsh team I know did. Joe Ward, and 2 of us did. Arcanalax, who was there, did. There were a lot of other people there. Just in passing, I want to mention, we saw Andy Davo, Seabros, who's tiny, by the way, like 2 foot high. So is Hargreaves. They were there with their 2 dads, who are enormous.
Really big.
I don't think they were their actual dads, PC.
Oh, really?
Really.
I'm not sure. I'm not
It
sure.
looked like
I
that.
mean,
It was
it
2
could
dads
be,
with 2 teenagers, wasn't it? I thought, okay.
It could be.
Cauliflower, obviously, Day, Dizzy Bears, Flicky Flack, we've talked about, just blissed out, loving his life, just full of smiles. But yes. Glowworm, J Burn, Joe Manji, Hargrim, Hawker, Hellboy, Kofo, Corn Knight, Misspelled Tree, Purple Goose, Thor, Throwek, Yudlugger, loads I haven't mentioned, no number. Just I didn't write them down for some reason. And yeah, quite a lot have got COVID. Is it too soon, guys? Should we have been at an event that size?
No, I'm going to say it's too soon, definitely. Especially with sort of the way it was
No
approached by
restriction,
the no restriction sort of thing. If it is to be done, it's got to be done differently to than how it was done in York, in my opinion.
It was the same at Waterbowl, by the way. There was quite a few positive cases after that.
Yeah. It's just you're using your hands a lot. It's tabletop. It's dice rolling.
You should have to wear masks, and there should be a gap between a third room, and have a space between the tables, or and the hand sanitizer every game or whatever. Honestly, if you go into NAF champs, bring a mask, bring sanitizer, and
get yourself tested before you go as well.
Yeah, I took 2 masks. I didn't wear one because
I brought
there
a
was
mask.
about
I didn't wear
5
one,
people wearing masks, wasn't there, in the whole event?
Yeah.
And I didn't feel I could really whip one out and put it on. I don't hugely want to, but
yeah, so
I wouldn't want
perhaps
to.
we should have been mandated to. Perhaps that might have. But
yeah. If they tell you have to, you just do it, didn't you?
I was smashing the hand sanitizer between every single game and every single group of people.
Oh, I thought that was the masturbating.
Oh no!
I see. Sorry, I completely misread that.
I was going with a secret E45 in my
Completely
backpack.
misread that. Sorry, that's on me. But yeah, we had a couple of other questions. We've had one from this name is impossible. Basey G or Basey G. also fairly new to Blood Bowl, also fairly new to tabletop events. Do you think playing with actual models gave you more of an attachment to them and what they were doing than just sort of online digital things that you don't care about? Are you in love with your pieces?
No.
I'd say
No,
yeah,
like
I like my models,
in
but
NAF,
less
it's
so.
completely opposite as well. Like
Yeah,
in
yeah.
tabletop, like you don't give a like I'm playing undead. I got blodge ghouls. Like they are the front of my screen. Like they hit my ghoul. Like I don't care if it dies, it dies. Like in online, like you obviously have to protect it, nurture it, level it, whatever. Like there, it is a different meta. It's a completely different game. Like to to CCL, like specifically. I don't really know about other stuff. I'm a CCL guy, but like tabletop, like it's almost like a breath of fresh air, and like the chains
Yeah.
are unlocked, and you can just throw shit, like
Yeah.
throw stuff in there. Like if there's a problem, you throw shit at it. Like
Yeah.
and
You
like
don't have to worry about the next game problem. Like
yeah,
none of them
yeah,
down
yeah,
these
yeah,
players, to be fair.
yeah,
Like the
yeah.
rest
So
of them,
it changes your risk
complete-
profile, doesn't it? It changes
yeah,
how
it
you
does.
look
It
at
completely
risk.
changes how
different
you
game.
play as well. Like,
Completely different game. Yeah, yeah. Like
Maybe
like
if you
being the
mean
same game,
towards
it's
the team
so
itself,
different.
you know,
Go on.
if he's talking about like loving our team, I can understand that. You know what I mean? He's painted it. He loves that team, sort of thing. But not to the pieces. Not to the pieces.
Yeah,
Dimmy, you
yeah.
painted up your team.
I did. Yeah.
Is that
I
going to be
hated
something?
it.
Is that going to be something you love for life?
It is now, yeah. Like I got my mummy here, but like I'm really glad I did it. I hated doing it. I hated doing every minute of it. I've still got PC Zombie, which she lent me because I didn't realize I needed more zombies than I had. I will give that back to you at some point. But I am so happy that I have got my first ever tabletop team. And if anyone does go to a tabletop event and like they are thinking, do I borrow? If they've got a team that they can take, just paint it and take it. Because like for me anyway, we're all different. But for me, like the fact that I will have this team forever, and the fact we came third at UKTC, which is nonsense anyway. Like it's like the best memories on the table in front of me. Like it's like honestly the best like memory in Blood Bowl ever.
Yeah,
Like
Very
honestly,
good. Well,
like,
you are the champ, or the third place
you
bronze
boys,
medal.
you boys are the champs, and I'm the pretender. But
All
like,
right. Well, that was from Laration. Coddlefish wants. Oh, sorry, Necro. Are you attached to your pieces?
I mean, I love my team and my models, and I painted them, but I'm not. You know, they'll
Are
sit
you,
on
are
the
you
shelf
chuffed you
until
had
the-
your own models for your first go?
Yeah, I mean, I like avidly collect paint and do all that stuff myself. Part of the hobby anyway. So yeah, it's just another side project for me to do. So I'm quite happy to do it. I've got a Snotling team to paint now. So
Hancock, I believe you're in the can't paint, won't paint boat with me.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, I stole Hellboy's team.
How does it
and
feel?
was-
Do you wish you had your own?
No, not at all. No, I would happily buy a team and get someone else to paint him, but I ain't fucking doing it. You got no chance. I'm not doing that to myself.
Just pieces in a game. It was fine to borrow one. You didn't feel a pang as they went back.
oh, mate, I'll definitely
Not at all.
borrow the next one and never paint another team again. It's just the first one.
Or
The
eBay.
first
Remember,
one.
eBay is your friend. I have
Yes.
teams to sell. I want you on eBay buying them. We had from Coddlefish that you're all obviously Blood Bowl 2 players. Now, you play on a rule set that is 300 years old, apart from Diddy, who I know does a little bit of fun. Was there anything you noticed that he particularly, claw pom? Were you constantly thinking, where's their claw pommer?
they didn't need the pom because it removed me
Yeah.
anyway.
we were hidden under the table all the time.
Was there anything you really noticed about the new rules?
Yes, the re-rolls.
Yeah, rerolls.
Rerolls,
Rerolls.
yeah, definitely.
Kickoff events are way better, by the way, or way better.
They're
In my
terrible, Timmy.
opinion.
They've toned them down way too much.
No. I
No,
think they're
much
I,
better.
like
They're
we're
in a
gonna
nice
we'll
place.
talk about something in a minute, and I think there's a massive argument to what a certain person was saying in the kickoff events.
Okay. And one-turn touchdowns. How were they? Did they dominate the tournament? Now, while we talk about this, I just want to briefly flash this up again. A little something. If you haven't seen this, I would suggest you go and have a look. That is the 3 Dice blog. I will put links in the YouTube and on the Twitch VOD description and also on the Spotify description. This is Joe Mangi's blog, having been to the UKTC. He's talking about less agency for agile teams, for elves and things like that. But also there's some discussion about the domination of one-turn touchdowns. Did either of you feel that there was either that sea change into a more aggressive style, perhaps a less walling off and then outmaneuvering things, and that one-turn touchdowns were dominating. Anyone feel any of that?
Well, it's definitely a bash meta versus elves. Like, the wood elves have come right down. Like that's like if this was a normal NAF tournament, you'd expect to see like 30% wood elf coaches. Like there was one or something like that. I don't know.
Isn't it Dark Elves at the top? Because they're the ones that can
I think Dark
push
Elves
back
are
a little bit
still
and deal the
Dark Elves
most
are still
punishment
the
back.
same. Like for me,
I'm not sure about this agency thing in terms of elves. I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure I agree with that, to be honest.
But I mean, I think his point was that with multiple reroll use, things like a nice stable wall of elves too deep, you can knock the first one over and then use your rerolls to dodge every square through, or even jump over prone players. Anyone have experiences like that or anything?
My counter argument to that was that not too easy in the first place for Bash team? Like, do you know what I mean? If you're the elf team, it's very easy to do that against the Bash team, and when you're the Bash team, it's not easy to counter that. So it's a change in the meta, and it, like any good game, there needs to be a change in the meta. You can't just sit there and play the same game. Yeah, you either deal with it, grow up, and get on with it, or you suffer and you moan about it, and there's two ways to deal with it, right? So like sorry.
Wise words. Cope or don't cope, it ain't changing.
Yeah. Elves have been OP for years, right? Like that's the simple fact of
so
it,
it's
right?
time for the elf coach to suck it up a bit and find a different way to play it.
Play Blood Bowl,
too right.
boys. Play some Blood
Definitely.
Bowl. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm kind of in both schools of this, Dimmy. I completely agree. I'm thrilled we've got a rule set that's now alive and dynamic and changing. And for those that haven't seen it, there's some little details. Let me just flash that up while we're talking about it. Of the new Norse that have come out today from Games Workshop. So this is all official stuff, not leaks. Sorry, that's another blog, by the way. Another story. If you want someone else's story, that's the Watford Boys blog. I'll also put that in all the links about his experiences at the UKTC. And there we are. Those are the new Norse. Most of the stuff we already know, except there is a new star player, Yeti. It seems we're not getting Ice Pelt back. He is dead forever. We get a new one instead. The new Spike is coming out, which will have all of these details pulled together, and we'll actually get full details on what the team is. But it is confirming again in the text here that the pigs will be on field, and a Snotling will be able to beat them up. So it sounds like the information that is around about them being those Strength 1 Snotling type figures looks correct. That is the new Yeti figure, but we've had that released and spoiled already. And that is the new star player who apparently is able to get the crowd on his side. There's talk of him being a singing Yeti.
Oh, God.
He does have a fabulous beard.
He's got a good beard.
It's a nice model, I'll give him that, and it isn't on one toe, which I was chatting to some painters about earlier. So that is what is coming up and what is new in the world of Blood Bowl. One final question I wanted to pull out, and then we'll see if there's anything come up for the Twitch chat which I've missed. I'm sorry, I've been trying to do all of this stuff, so I hope you guys have kept a little eye on there. But one question we did get from Naru, I think from your Discord, Necro, and there'll be links to these guys' Twitches and any Discords and all the other ways they haul themselves out across the internet. Again, in all of the comments areas of the whatever, however way you consume this. But Necro Naru came up with a question that I thought was really interesting, so I wanted to leave it till right now, and then we'll just throw it open and see what else we've got to talk about. Naru asks, how do you make a team? If you're going to the UKTC, how would he make a team?
Ask Duderino.
Well, like all the relevant information is on the website to do with roster stuff. So for their rules, they've got a tier system in place with teams, haven't they? So you've got your budget for your team, which they assign.
Oh, what, like an actual team roster?
No, I'm talking about the four of us. I mean, none of us are in a league.
Right,
we don't play tabletop.
If
we're going to go somewhere like this, how would we have formed a team?
Mate, genuinely, how I got into this whole team in the first place was Duderino was commenting on one of Andy Davo's things, and he went, "Oh, we need another partner for this," and I went, "Cough, which is like me, like basically." So like, just hang around, saying.
So you stepped forward and said, "Please ask me."
I did, yeah. I've always wanted to do tabletop. I'm an online player. Like, I went to York with 4 strangers because I'm going to include Throwick in there. I came back with 4 friends. Do you know what I mean? So, best event of my life. But
3 friends.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
one got robbed on the way home.
Frankly, speak from your perspective, mate. That's I think I would all like to just point that
Yeah.
out.
But like, yeah, no, like just go out. Like, if you're not shy, like I understand a lot of people are shy and stuff, but like if you're not shy, just talk to people about it. Like I'm surprised, like in our community, there's not more people that go to tabletops. Like honestly, like I think I'm definitely gonna be going more tabletops in the future.
Hancock, you've signed up for another one, so you got involved in 2 without having done any at all. So
Yeah.
is that you stepping forwards or people asking you? How's that come about?
It's people asking me, but I'm definitely happy to step forwards now after experiencing like one tabletop event, because I really did enjoy myself after
Good.
I got used to it.
Yeah.
I definitely enjoyed myself, and I would go to more. Volk has asked me to go to Euro Bowl with him, so I'm really looking forward to that. It's Malta in November, so that should be interesting. But yeah, I'm definitely game for more.
Excellent.
Are we gonna do it next year?
Necro, same sort of question. I mean, you stepped forward when I asked you. You instantly said, "Yeah, I'll think about that." Had it been on your mind to try and find a way to do it, or?
Yeah, but looking locally, like the local team to me is the 6th team we played at the event, so they're the local league for my. Yeah, I wasn't intending to go headfirst into tournament.
Let's hope you didn't piss them off too much, then.
No, they invited me to go.
I definitely did.
no
by the way.
promises.
Yeah.
Sorry, Necro.
Yeah.
That
Right,
might be
they invited
awkward.
me to go down and say hi, so I could do that at some point. But yeah, I'm looking to go maybe a team-based competition. I don't think I could see myself going solo to compete in a tournament. That's
Yeah,
like a whole
I
different
think
kettle of
that
fish.
as well.
I
Yeah,
enjoy
I
the
think
team-based stuff, and I think a lot of people
I mean,
prefer that. We sort of like
would that
Blitzball,
change
Blood
even
Bowl
if it
2,
was-
people like the team format.
If that was a single tournament, but you knew 2 or 3 people that would be there, would that change it, or is it the team thing that really got you hooked?
I think I enjoy the team-based competition.
Yeah,
more,
I
but
did.
I'd still,
I did.
agree.
Yeah.
I'd
really
still,
did.
you know, if it's something I was really getting into, like I'd do a few more team-based ones before I go, hey, I'm comfortable playing on my own at a.
I mean, the
Same.
problem with that is that there's the UKTC, there's the Euro Bowl every
Mhm.
other year, and the World Cup every other year.
Well, can you imagine?
There was one in
like,
London, but it had slightly funny rules, and teams were of 3. I don't know of
Mhm.
many others, but they're
Sure.
not that popular because it's really hard to organise, and it does
I
mean
mean, if
people
it's-
coming from all over. Whereas a local
If it means
tournament,
it's
you'll get the whole
UKTC every
club,
year,
and then a few from elsewhere.
yeah.
if it means it's UKTC every year for me, then
Yeah.
Well, mate,
so-
like imagine.
Those are the ones
imagine
I've
going...
left London for, but then, through that I got to meet some of the London scene guys that were there, which meant when I went to London once, I'd walk in and I would know a third of the people there, or at least I'd met
Mhm.
them. And that really helped get me over that hump. And I'm quite social because I just don't shut up, so it's kind of
Yeah,
works
I was
eventually.
just saying, like, you imagine if UKTC was single player, and like you turned up and had the day one that Hancock had, like
Yeah.
your whole
Yeah,
weekend
yeah,
is
yeah.
gone,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, and like we managed to pull out third, right? Like, and like it could have happened to like anyone, not just necessarily Hancock or anyone like that. Like, I just think team tournaments are where it's at. Like, if you're gonna do a
Yeah.
2-day event, it should be a
And it's
team
boss being
tournament.
able to sit next to people like you get on
Oh,
with as well.
it's so good.
Yeah,
Volkaja,
yeah.
hang on,
so good
Volkaja, I
sitting-
think you can join the chat if you want to. You are in the call, so that you should be able to just press
Yeah.
a button and join us if you want to come on and give us a quick 2 minutes on Dungeon Bowl. Though we are horrifically overrunning tonight.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry.
That's all right. So
Okay.
while Volk joins us, anything else you guys want to say that we haven't covered about tabletop? There's one thing, and I don't want to say who. We don't know who, but there was a horrific stench at one point.
Oh,
I say at one point.
I didn't want to mention
Oh,
that.
I think
yeah,
it
I didn't want
happened
to mention that.
2 or 3 times, didn't it?
Yeah, sorry,
yeah.
lads. Sorry.
Whoever that was is clearly it wasn't. I mean, it was clearly
Very
someone that
ill.
isn't well, isn't it? That's I
Yeah.
think it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
But
was-
in general, was the sort of BO and all of that at the level you guys expected? How was the
Yeah,
experience
we were
olfactory?
warned.
All as you
We
enter the
were
room,
warned. It was.
Yeah, I was warned. I was prepared for it. You get whiffs of it, and it's unpleasant. But I suppose that's just what you've
There was
got
one
to accept.
game. It was just like, oh my god, like
All
no.
this- yeah.
But the rest of it was fine.
Now, just have a think about anything else you want to put in or say that we haven't covered yet, because we do need to wrap up fairly soon, or else this is going to be the longest ending in a show of traditionally quite long endings. Volkajo, thanks for joining us, and thank you for actually reveal to the guys it was him that did 98% of the work on that lovely introduction that we
Excellent
had.
work,
Yes,
Paul.
thank you, it was
Nice one,
ridiculous.
mate. Yeah, it was
That's
so
amazing.
funny.
Amazing.
We all watched it
Huge,
before we
thank
came
you.
on. I was absolute tears. It was so good.
I showed it to them 20 minutes before we went live because I realised they'd probably have the stream silent so that they wouldn't hear it. I think it works orally as well. But it's definitely, it will also be its own little thing on my YouTube. If you just want to check that out, you can.
So good.
Because I want it somewhere forever because I love it and will treasure it. Now, we missed the Germans. I missed my traditional hug with Candlejack, probably good, or he would have got COVID. But we missed the Germans, a traditional feature of the UKTC, always there at the top of the board. I've played some lovely games, people like Twanellamore. I know I've had some fabulous games tussling with. You were all doing a little tiny tournament, weren't you? How was that?
Yeah, I mean, we had Dungeon Bowl the same weekend. Otherwise, I would have come to UKTC as well, as did another few Germans I talked to over the weekend. Obviously, with COVID, traveling is tough, but we had our major tournament actually, which is Dungeon Bowl, on the same weekend, with about 85-ish coaches. Was tons of fun. It's not all Dungeon Bowls, so only the final and the Stunty Cup final are being played in a dungeon. Which makes it exciting. Both finalists had never played in a dungeon before, which added to the fun.
Did they
And
use
it
the
was
actual
great.
new Dungeon Bowl rules?
Yes, they did. It was a bit tricky, but they got used to it. A Spanish guy, actually, Javi, very lovely guy. I played him in Riva, won the tournament, rightfully so. Won all his games, beat a Berlin guy in the final, and it was a fantastic tournament, very well organized. No COVID cases, as far as I know.
Really?
Because, like, I mean, around
Yeah,
here,
how's that?
you're still required to wear masks. You are like we all had to give like COVID certificates that were triple vaxxed and negative tests. And like whenever we got up, we had to wear masks. I wore a mask basically the entire time, as I did for Water Bowl, as people in Spain did, like for 140 people tournament inside. Everybody wore masks constantly, apart from when drinking. So about 50% of the time, I'd say. So, like, also no COVID cases there. So, I mean, it helps when you take care of stuff, and when you like, obviously, wearing masks doesn't protect you 100%, but it does to some extent. So, and like, do everything you can to minimize the risks. You can't get it down to nil, but like, do some stuff and be a bit aware, and then it works out. I mean, I've been to, I don't know, almost 10 tournaments this year. Been to Spain, the UK, Czech Republic, a few in Germany, and UK was shocking,
Are
to be
you
honest.
the super spreader?
No, I haven't had it at all.
Okay.
Like,
All right,
nothing.
right.
But UK was shocking.
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised. I'm a bit scared of NAFC now, but yeah,
Yeah,
like,
it's gonna be disgusting, mate. Honestly.
but Dungeon Bowl worked well, very well organized by Doc Max Marian, and would be lovely to have a few UK people over for the next edition next year.
Yeah.
It's such a fun thing. Like, it's such a nice get together. There's good beer, nice people.
I would love to
But
go to a Dungeon Bowl, but if it clashes with the UKTC, that's
yeah,
to me that's the biggest priority in the year. That's a tournament that's my highlight.
I mean, that's an exception. I mean, this one was like a COVID-based
Yeah, but
clash.
I mean, it's usually in early January. If the UKTC is moved back then, that's the peak of COVID season. It's going to
No.
be years before January feels secure. I
Yeah.
would thought.
Yeah, but I mean, like in Germany, we have a like tournament organizers group where we look at dates together, and we usually try to move stuff around the big
Yeah.
tournaments like the World Cup, the Euro, UKTC, NAFC, and like make sure that people can attend all of them if they want.
Yeah.
Look how efficient
Brendan-
they are.
Brendan
Look how efficient they
Pipey,
are.
Pipey was invited on One World, One Blood Bowl, but has refused to come. What are they hiding? We may never know. They won't answer. They won't tell you. No, it's fine, isn't it? I don't know when the UKTC is going to move to. Brendan's got to think about that because I'm not sure January's going to work for a few years at least.
Like,
And the rest of the
Easter's
year
perfect.
is full, and clashing with Dungeon Bowl is not ideal because we were robbed of the Germans and we missed them. But it's good
But
that
so-
Dungeon Bowl went well. I'm
but,
really glad that's back and running.
A quick shout, because I mean, look at all these people, how happy they were to like finally experience tabletop, and everybody wants to go back. And imagine going to a foreign country, meeting hundreds of new people, having brilliant food, having like all the organizers taking care of you. Because if you're international at a tournament, people will do everything.
Yeah,
like
they will.
in Spain, they picked us up from the airport. They organized the lunch. They blocked an entire street for us so we could have perfect lunch, like a 3-course lunch, including drinks for $15.
Wow.
Wow. And like they organized everything specifically for us. And like
That makes
everybody,
the UK sound awful.
Yeah, doesn't it?
Hey, we got sandwiches and a bit of fruit.
Tony's,
we
mate.
got like a really bad sandwich.
It was a terrible sandwich.
no, but guys, do travel for tabletop. It's amazing. Like people, like I know a lot of people who take their partners. Like my girlfriend was with us in Prague, and hung out with the Blood Bowl guys, with Andy, Thor. We're battling for most tabletop games this year. And like it's such a lovely time because the community is also very open, and people can just come along even not playing. That's what a lot of people are gonna be doing in Malta. So
Yeah, I mean, some people
do it.
just come along and watch.
Yeah, a couple did, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, I mean, I do think we do need to wrap this up. This has been incredibly long, and thank you guys. I mean, it's been a pleasure to have you back, and it was an absolute pleasure to go to York with you. I do hope we see you doing more tabletop in the future. I hope that's been the start of something, not the end of it. Goodness knows if we could ever go back and even hope to come anywhere near what we
Yeah.
achieved this year, guys. I think it's stunning. I kind of want to just wrap it up and say that One World, One Blood Bowl will be back in 2 weeks when we're going to have, I hope to have Dizzy Bess on and Kofog, and also one of the organisers has been promised to me from the NAFC. So hopefully we'll be able to talk about the NAFC and get ourselves ready and prepared and focus a little bit more on tabletop. Then I want to swim away from that for a bit because I don't want One World, One Blood Bowl to sit in a rut. I have got a birthday coming up in May, and we do have a trip away, so I'm not sure if I'll continue straight on. There might be a brief pause. But I can confirm, as of today, we do have an interesting collection of collectors I'm ready to start putting together and bringing on. We're also ready to forward the Blood Bowl, the next generation. I want to talk to some teenagers or very early 20s at the oldest about Blood Bowl and how do we get them playing Blood Bowl, or why are they playing Blood Bowl, and see if there are some people, if Blood Bowl has a future. People have also been talking to me about getting one together with leagues, and I want to do one where we look at the 29 races and decide which ones are cool and which ones are not cool. So we have got plenty of ideas heading forwards. Also in my Discord, there is a channel where you can drop your own ideas, suggest ideas, as No Number did, and if I think it's got legs, we'll find some people, we'll get talking about it, and we will throw it around and see what comes out. But that has been One World, One Blood Bowl for tonight. That is where I'll wrap it up and say good night to everybody, and the links will all be in the stuff, and we will call that a day.